many instances where a half-hour meeting, I was able to improve the financial outcome of the company by $100 million in a half-hour meeting.
You really surprised people recently when you said probably the most important product development going on at Tesla this year is this robot, Optimus. Many companies out there have tried to put out these robots. They've been working on them for years, and so far no one has really cracked it. There's no mass adoption. Is it something that happened in the development of full self-driving that gave you the confidence to say, you know what, we could do something special here?
From a sensors and actuator standpoint, it's certainly demonstrated by many that it's possible to make a humanoid robot. Things that are currently missing are enough intelligence for the robot to navigate the real world and do useful things without being explicitly instructed. So the missing things are basically real world intelligence and scaling up manufacturing. Those are two things that Tesla is very good at, and we basically just need to design the specialized actuators and sensors that are needed for a humanoid robot. People have no idea. This is going to be bigger than the car.
What sort of timeline should we be thinking about of the first models that are actually made and sold?
Well, the first units that we tend to make are for jobs that are dangerous, boring, repetitive, and things that people don't want to do. And, I think we'll have like an interesting prototype sometime this year. We might have something useful next year, but I think quite likely within at least 2 years. And then we'll see rapid growth year over year of the usefulness of the humanoid robots and decrease in cost and scaling up production.
Initially just selling to businesses, or when do you picture you'll start selling them where you can buy your parents one for Christmas or something?
I'd say less than 10 years. I'm not sure what my exact track record is on predictions. They're more optimistic than pessimistic, but they're not all optimistic. Some of them are exceeded, probably more are later, but they do come true. It's very rare that they do not come true. It's sort of like if there's some radical technology prediction, but the point is not that it was a few years late, but that it happened at all. That's the more important part. Obviously we need to be careful that this doesn't become a dystopian situation. One of the things that's going to be important is to have a localized ROM chip on the robot that cannot be updated over the air, where if you, for example, were to say stop, if anyone said that, then the robot would stop, and that's not updatable remotely. I think it's going to be important to have safety features like that. And I do think there should be a regulatory agency for AI. I've said this for many years. I don't love being regulated, but I think this is an important thing for public safety. I wouldn't worry about this sort of putting people out of a job thing. We're actually going to have, and already do have, a massive shortage of labor. I think we will have people out of work, but actually still a shortage of labor even in the future. This really will be a world of abundance. Any goods and services will be available to anyone who wants them. It'll be so cheap to have goods and services, it'll be ridiculous.
So AI is allowing us to imagine a differently powered economy that will create this abundance. What are you most worried about going wrong?
AI and robotics will bring out what might be termed the age of abundance. This is my prediction, there'll be an age of abundance. I guess the dangers would be artificial general intelligence or digital superintelligence decouples from collective human will and goes in a direction that for some reason we don't like, whatever direction it might go.
If AI were to take down Earth, we need a plan B. Let's shift our attention to space. We spoke last time about reusability, and you just demonstrated that spectacularly for the first time. Since then, you've gone on to build this monster rocket, Starship, which kind of changes the rules of the game in spectacular ways. Tell us about Starship.
The holy grail of rocketry or space transport is full and rapid reusability. This has never been achieved. The closest that anything's come is our Falcon 9 rocket, where we are able to recover the first stage, the boost stage, which is probably about 60% of the cost of the vehicle, maybe 70%. With Starship, we will be recovering the entire thing, or at least that's the goal. And moreover, recovering it in such a way that it can be immediately reflown.
On that kind of launch rate you're talking about, over 2 decades, you could get your 1 million people to Mars, essentially. Whose city is it? Is it NASA's city? Is it SpaceX's?
It's the people of Mars' city. The reason for this, why I do this thing, I think this is important for maximizing the probable lifespan of humanity with consciousness. Human civilization could come to an end for external reasons like a giant meteor or supervolcanoes or extreme climate change or World War III, any one of a number of reasons. The probable lifespan of civilization consciousness as we know it, which we should really view as this very delicate thing, like a small candle in a vast darkness. That is what appears to be the case. We're in this vast darkness of space, and there's this little candle of consciousness that's only really come about after 4.5 billion years. It could just go out.
Why has full self-driving in particular been so hard to predict?
I mean, the thing that really got me, and I think is going to get a lot of other people, is that there are just so many false dawns with self-driving, where you think you've got a problem, have a handle on the problem, and then nope, turns out you just hit a ceiling. If you were to plot the progress looks like a log curve, a series of log curves. It goes up sort of a fairly straight way, and then it starts tailing off, and you start
There's a kind of
getting diminishing returns, and you're like, oh, it was trending up, and now it's sort of curving over and not, and you start getting to these, what I call maxima, where you don't realize basically how dumb you were, and then it happens again. In order to solve full self-driving, you have to solve real-world AI. Because you see, like, what are the road networks designed to work with? They're designed to work with a biological neural net, our brains, and with vision, our eyes. So in order to make it work with computers, you basically need to solve real-world AI and vision. We need cameras and silicon neural nets in order to have self-driving work for a system that was designed for eyes and biological neural nets. I guess when you put it that way, it's sort of like quite obvious that the only way to solve full self-driving is to solve real-world AI and sophisticated vision.
Elon, you reported by Forbes and everyone else as now, the world's richest person.
I think it's fair to say that if somebody is like king or de facto king of a country, they're wealthier than I am.
Your net worth on any given day is rising or falling by several $1 billion. How do you handle that psychologically? There aren't many people in the world who have to even think about that.
Actually, you don't think about that too much. The thing that is actually more difficult, and that does make sleeping difficult, is that every good hour or even minute of thinking about Tesla and SpaceX has such a big effect on the company that I really try to work as much as possible to the edge of sanity, basically, because Tesla's getting to the point where every high-quality minute of thinking is $1 million to impact on Tesla, which is insane. Tesla's doing $2 billion a week, let's say, in revenues, sort of $300 million a day, 7 days a week.
Personally, I can't understand the fact that you get all this criticism from the left about, oh my God, he's so rich, that's disgusting. When climate is their issue, philanthropy is a topic that some people go to. Philanthropy is a hard topic. Like, how do you think about that?
I think if you care about the reality of goodness instead of the perception of it, philanthropy is extremely difficult. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, and Boring Company are philanthropy. If you say philanthropy is love of humanity, they are philanthropy. Tesla is accelerating sustainable energy. This is a love of philanthropy. SpaceX is trying to ensure the long-term survival of humanity with multi-planet species. This is love of humanity. And Neuralink is help solve brain injuries and existential risk with AI, love of humanity. Boring Company is trying to solve traffic, which is hell for most people, and that also is love of humanity. Well, sure, it would be very problematic if I was consuming billions of dollars a year in personal consumption. That is not the case. In fact, I don't even own a home right now. I'm literally staying at friends' places. If I travel to the Bay Area, where most of Tesla engineering is, I basically rotate through friends' spare bedrooms. I don't have a yacht. I really don't take vacations. It's not as though that my personal consumption is high. I mean, the one exception is a plane, but if I don't use the plane, then I have less hours to work.